Well, one firebrand MAGA Republican is never afraid to put up a fight. He is a true warrior. And I'm talking, of course, about Republican Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. And I'm honored to welcome him back to the program this evening. Congressman, great to see you.
Oh, it's good to see you. Boy, J.D. Vance put on a clinic in that debate in Ohio. And then in Georgia, exceeding all expectations, Herschel Walker clubbed Raphael Warnock like a baby seal. It was as if Warnock needed to have his dental records on file so that we could identify him afterwards. But there is a common thread here, Jen. In each of these debates, the Democrats are stuck between a rock and a hard place because they cannot admit what we all see, and that is that Joe Biden is a failed president who the American people don't trust with the economy. And so they languish, unable to defend the policy choices that have brought the American people so much pain. Joe Biden is hanging around the neck of every candidate running for national office right now, and they can't get that weight off of him during these debates.
Yeah, it's all about lying and distraction right now. And Congressman, I want to talk to you about that a little bit more. But first, I want to ask you also about today's breaking news that we mentioned at the top of the show. Your reaction tonight to Igor Danchenko being acquitted on all counts of lying to the FBI.
So Durham has been on this investigation for years. And here we are, 0-2, with fewer wins than the Washington Generals. But I posit, and have said for quite some months, that Durham is not prosecuting these cases to obtain convictions. I believe the entire purpose of Durham's work is to cast the FBI as the victim rather than the perpetrator. The theme of the Durham prosecutions and indictments is that the FBI was lied to. They were victimized. But it's easy to see why the jury in the Danchenko case was quite confused, because you had FBI agents testifying that Danchenko was a double agent. He was working for the Russians. He was working for us. And that is precisely why he was used to tell lies about President Trump, to try to gaslight, delegitimizing the American presidency, because the Democrats were election deniers when Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton. So I have a bit of a different take than some. I don't think these are sincere prosecutions. I think they exist to try to whitewash the corrupt actions of the FBI.
So where do you think this goes from here, Congressman? Do you think that we'll see more coming out of the Durham report? Do we also see any additional possibilities of a prosecution?
I doubt it. Devin Nunes sent 14 criminal referrals to Durham that laid out in technicolor how these deep state actors used the Russia hoax to really harm our country, and they broke federal laws in doing so. And Durham's statement after the verdict isn't exactly encouraging that he's some sort of pit bull. He said everything but tip your waitresses on the way out. And I don't suspect we're going to see a whole lot more vigor out of them, because they did what they accomplished. They set out to try to whitewash the FBI's actions and to cast the FBI as the victim. But in the Russia hoax, the FBI was no victim. They were the perpetrator.
Well, Congressman, I want to shift the conversation to something I think we are all very excited about. In just 21 days, the midterms will be here. The Hill put out this report, which I thought was really interesting. And the headline reads, Democrats worry they peaked too soon ahead of the midterms. Now, listen, in my opinion, I don't think they ever peaked, but we saw them relying so much on abortion and not focusing on the issues that matter to Americans, the issues that are impacting Americans every single day. What do you make of this report?
Turns out, I think more Americans want a strong economy than want an abortion. There was a whole lot of hoopla, but each and every American family right now is feeling the pain of an economy that has left them behind. And you look at Joe Biden wandering around the country in like this silver alert presidency, sucking on his ice cream cone. Here's what I know. Under Donald Trump, we had an economy where you could get 2 scoops of ice cream. Under Joe Biden, you're left with nothing but an empty ice cream cone. And I think the American people see that. And there's no escaping the fact that most of the voters do not believe that Joe Biden and these Democrats are capable of restoring the roaring Trump economy that allowed so many Americans to live more ambitious and productive lives.
Let me ask you this. I know Jen brought up this the issue on abortion. We're calling it Rovember because it seems that the Democrats are investing about $128 million in ads that are focused on abortion. They really believe this is the way to go. Let's take a quick listen to what Biden had to say earlier today.
Here's the promise I make to you and the American people. The first bill that I will send to the Congress will be to codify Roe v. Wade. And when Congress passes it, I'll sign it in January, 50 years after Roe was first decided the law of the land.
I mean, what do you make of his remarks? Obviously, their big push here is for suburban women. Do you think this issue of abortion is really going to have impact in terms of these elections, especially when it comes to these independent and suburban women?
So Democrats made a real tactical error when the bill they put up is vastly different than what President Biden just described. They put up legislation that was abortion on demand up until the point that the doctor is filling out the birth certificate. And you had even Democrats like Joe Manchin opposing the perspective that we saw advanced by Nancy Pelosi and many of the people who are crafting those policies. So as is typical for Joe Biden, he's making promises where he can't even deliver Joe Manchin's vote. I don't think people are going to be voting on abortion principally. While that issue did rise in the days and weeks immediately following the Dobbs decision, we're seeing the economy, crime, the border consistently at the top of all of the polling in all of the major races. Abortion is somewhere around 6th or 7th on the issue matrix, and that's not going to be enough to gin up folks. And that's why you kind of see these gimmicks at the end. The promise of this law, the student debt relief, totally unconstitutional executive order. This is policy by gimmick because they haven't delivered enough so that people feel good about their own prospects, their economy, and the future of our country.
Yeah, you can see the desperation with just 21 days left. Congressman Matt Gaetz, we love having you here on Prime News. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.